Okay, in this video we're going to be looking at some extra practice problems, and it comes from the information that you learned in worksheet ratios and proportions number 9 and 10. Alright, so recall that for proportional relations, the keyword is constant, never changes. Alright, so in tables, all k equals y over x are equal, and that's called the constant of proportionality. In graphs, the line, it has to be a linear line or a straight line, and all lines touch the origin or point towards the origin. In a non-proportional relation, in tables, not all k equals y over x, and if not all y over x are the same, then we can't call it k. Alright? In graphs, the line is not linear or does not pass through the origin or point towards it. Alright, so let's look at these practice problems. So, example, most shower heads that were manufactured before 1994 use 5 gallons of water per minute. Is the relationship between the number of gallons of water and the number of minutes a proportional relationship? Alright, so part A says complete the table. So the first step to completing a table is to fill in the given information. That is already there for us. Second step, find the unit rate, which is again there for us. Alright, so to go from 1 to 2, you have to multiply by 2. 5 times 2, that's 10. 1 times 3. 5 times 3, that's 15. Now, 1 times blank, we don't know what that's going to be, so we have to use the other number on the bottom. 5 times 7 gives us 35. Therefore, 1 times 7 gives us 7. 1 times 10 gives us 10. And finally, 5 times 10 gives us 50. All right? So, part B. Based on the table, is this relationship proportional? Or is this a proportional relationship? Explain your answer. Alright, now if you remember from the notes above, in order for this to be a proportional relationship, we have to have that all y over x are equal. If they're equal, then that number is the constant of proportionality. Alright, so let's test this out. So in our table, we have that this is our x value, this is our y value. So your formula for the constant of proportionality is k equals y over x. So let's start with the first column. For the first column, we're going to have 5 over 1. That's 5. Second column, we have 10 over 2. That's also 5. For the third column, we're going to have 15 over 3. That is 5. Fourth column, we have 35 over 7. That is 5. And finally, the last column, we have 50 over 10. That is 5. Therefore, k equals 5. All right? So even if we had 1 different, 2 different, 3 different, it doesn't matter how many different. As long as we have 1 different, then we wouldn't have a k. But since they're all equal to 5, then k equals 5. Okay? So, based on this information, our table is indeed proportional because we found that the constant of proportionality, or the unit rate, equals 5. Okay? Part C, plot the data from the table. Well, so we have 1, 5. Our x is 1, y is 5. That is right. Our 1 is right here. We go up to 5. That's this point. 2, 10. 3, 15. 7, 35. And 10, 50. All right, so connect the lines, the dots. And don't forget your arrow. Part D. How can you tell from the graph that this is a proportional relationship? Use vocabulary words. Well, by looking at the graph, you remember from our notes, we know that in order for a graph to be proportional, it has to be a straight line and it has to pass through the origin or point towards it. Well, in this graph, we do have our straight line, and we just need to check if it points towards the origin. And by looking at it, it does indeed point at the origin. Okay? Part E. If you continue the table to include 23 minutes, would the point 23, 125 be on this graph? Why or why not? Well, let's extend the table. So we have 23 minutes here. 1 times 23 gives us 23. 5 times 23. That gives us 115. So therefore, our point is going to be 23, 115. All right, 23, 15 does not match 23, 125 at all. So if we continue the table, this point, 23, 125 would not be on the graph. Okay? And for the second part of the question says, how could we check this without extending the table or plotting the point on the graph? Well, simply, you just follow your formula for k equals y over x. Now, what does we find k equals y over x to equal? We found that it all had to be equal to the number of 5. Right? And this is called our constant of proportionality. So the point that they give us is 23, 125. Here's our x, that's our y. So let's test it out. We have 125 over 23. And this is going to give us 5.434782609. And this does not equal 5. All right, so this would not be on the graph. And it would not be in the table as we saw earlier. All right, so in order for it to be in the graph or in the table, it has to have the same constant of proportionality. All right, and it's not equal to 5. All right, thank you for watching. For more questions, please come to Extra Help. Thank you.